Ever get stuck on hold with customer service and, you're like listening to that hold music for so long that you start thinking, hmm, is this really a job a person has to do? Like, couldn't a robot just do this whole thing?
Oh yeah, you hear that a lot these days, especially with, all the talk about AI taking over,
Right.
right? But honestly, the truth is like human connection, that personal touch, it's more important than ever in those roles, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So for someone listening who might be, thinking about call center work as a career path, it's not just about being, good on the phone.
Yeah.
It's about really connecting with people, on a human level. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
having to solve problems in real time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the skills that you build in a place like a call center, they're surprisingly useful. Like they can really apply to a lot of different jobs and careers.
Yeah.
We're
True.
talking, retail, healthcare, even like tech and finance, like across the board. Really any company that has to, interact with customers needs people who can just, roll with the punches and handle whatever gets thrown at them.
Wow. I actually never thought about it like that before.
Yeah.
It's a much broader field than most people realize.
Yeah.
But okay, let's rewind a little bit and go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So for our listener who's completely new to this, what does a call center agent even do all day?
Well, sure, yeah, the answer calls, but looking at this RoleCatcher career guide, it seems like it's a lot more proactive than people might think. Like agents are often actually making calls,
Right.
to customers. They're troubleshooting stuff. Sometimes they're basically salespeople.
Real on salespeople.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a curveball.
Yeah.
I always thought it was mostly, answering questions, maybe calming down an angry customer every now and then.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that for sure. We can get into that a little bit later.
Okay.
But a lot of agents are actually, promoting stuff, products, services, or figuring out what a customer needs, and then sometimes even closing deals right there during the call.
Along the call.
Yeah, on the spot.
Wow.
And some are even like setting up those, those big important sales meetings.
Oh wow, like in person.
Yeah. The ones that bring in the big bucks for companies.
Wow. I never would have thought about them like being the ones to actually arrange those in-person meetings. That's a detail I totally missed. So they're really like that crucial first point of contact in a lot of ways.
Yeah, totally. And that level of, responsibility means you need to have a lot of different skills, right?
Yes.
We're talking listening closely, being able to talk to people in a way that, convinces them of something. You got to think fast on your feet, solve problems, and you really have to know the company's products or services inside and out.
Yeah.
And the great thing about all of that is that these are all skills that you can use in tons of other jobs. It's not limited to just call centers.
It sounds like even if you're not sure if you want to do the call center thing forever, the skills you learn could be really valuable for a future career, for sure.
You got it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And for people who are interested in sticking with it, you can actually move up the ranks in the call center world. There's a lot of potential there.
Okay, so there's actually room to grow in this field. Huh. All right. That's something I definitely want to dig into a bit more. But before we get into all of that,
Ah,
let's be real for a second. Applying for jobs online, it's like, ugh, the worst. You're just like throwing your resume out there into this black hole, and you just hope that anyone will actually look at it.
yeah, it's tough, and it can be even harder in a field like call centers where there's just so many people applying for the same jobs.
Yeah, that's true. So what can our listeners do to really, stand out? Like, how do you become more than just another resume in a big pile?
Well, one thing is that a lot of people, they just send out the exact same resume and cover letter for every job they apply to. But it's way more effective to really, tailor it to each specific job, right? You want to highlight the skills that each employer is looking for the most.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you even know what they're looking for? I mean, job descriptions, they can be so vague sometimes.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
And that's actually where a platform like RoleCatcher can be really helpful. They have this feature that like analyzes those job descriptions and pulls out the most important skills the employer wants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So instead of just guessing, throwing keywords in there and hoping for the best, you can actually see exactly what the hiring manager cares about.
Exactly. No more guessing games, right? It just lets you focus on showing off, all the best parts of your work experience and your skills.
That's a game changer for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you do all that. You've got the perfect resume and cover letter, but then there's still the interview, and that could be so nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
Any tips for how to really nail a call center interview?
definitely. RoleCatcher actually has a whole section about this in their career guide with like real questions they ask in call center interviews. One of the most common ones is, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer.
Oh, yeah, the classic difficult customer question. I mean, hasn't everyone had to deal with that at some point? And I can only imagine how much tougher it is when you're the one answering the phone for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the job. But it's also a chance to really show what you're made of, you
Yeah.
know? Hiring managers, they want to see that you can stay calm even when things get a little crazy, that you can, calm people down and find a solution without, losing your cool.
So it's not just it's how you say it, right?
Yeah,
You have to show them you can handle anything while still being professional and kind.
you got it. I mean, let's be real, dealing with difficult people is practically in the job description.
For sure. I wonder, are there like specific strategies that call center agents use to get through those tough conversations?
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of them, actually. And that's something we should definitely get into.
All right.
But first, I think we should probably circle back to those career paths for call center agents that we were talking about.
Okay, so let's get back to those career paths you're talking about.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's room to grow within the call center world.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Like, where do you go from just being an agent?
Yeah. So the cool thing is there's like a natural progression, right? You
Yeah.
usually start as a call center agent, and then as you get more experience, you can move up to like a senior agent role.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So more responsibility, more of a challenge.
Mhm.
What are some things a senior agent would be doing on like a typical day?
Well, RoleCatcher's career stages section, it says that senior agents, they're not just dealing with more calls, but they're also mentoring the newer agents. They're tackling those like really tough customer issues that, get escalated up to them, and they even get to analyze call data to like find ways to improve the whole customer experience.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like the pros.
So it's not even just about being good on the phone anymore at that level. It's about using your knowledge
Yeah.
to help the whole team get better.
Totally. And having that kind of like leadership experience can even lead to becoming a team leader where you're like supervising a whole bunch of agents, you're giving them performance reviews, maybe even creating training programs. You're really shaping how the whole team performs.
Wow. Okay, so you go from answering calls to shaping a team's success. That's a pretty big jump.
It is. And for those who, really love leadership, it doesn't even have to stop there. A lot of team leaders end up becoming call center managers, which means they're overseeing the whole shebang, setting goals, looking at performance data, making sure everything's running smoothly.
So starting as a call center agent, it's kind of like stepping onto the first rung of like a much bigger career ladder.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And the best part is all those skills you're developing while you climb that ladder, like communication and problem solving and leadership, those are valuable no matter what field you're in. So even if you decide to leave the call center world someday, you'll still have all this experience under your belt that employers are going to be really impressed by.
Yeah, that's definitely reassuring for anyone who might be on the fence about taking a call center job. They can see it as, a stepping stone to bigger and better things.
Exactly.
Well, we covered a lot of ground today. We talked about what it's really like to be a call center agent, which I think had some surprises in there, and all the different career paths you can take. Definitely gave me a lot to think about.
Yeah, for sure.
And for our listeners out there, don't forget, this is just the tip of the iceberg. RoleCatcher has tons of free resources like super in-depth career guides, interview tips. They even have AI tools to help you put together the best possible application.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Definitely worth checking out. Head over to RoleCatcher.com to see all the cool stuff they have. You might be surprised at what you find out about this field and maybe even about yourself. And with that, we'll leave you with this. If you were going to design your dream call center job, what company would you work for and how would you use that job to make a positive impact on the customers you talk to every day?